A 1, 2, 3.
Gonna walk that promenade, yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade, be the talk of that promenade, looking for a star drifter, not a shapeshifter, lots to do and more to see, sweet sticks from a jumbo tree, oh, oddities, opportunities, free advice, but not for cheapo gambling wheels, shaded deals, meet me back here tomorrow, please. Walk that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade.
Hello and good evening for this Monday, November 20th, 2023. Star Trek DS9, Season 7, Episode 1, Image in the Sand is over, and it has been for about 30 years. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast.
20 years?
No, Trip, this is DS9. We're back. We're back for
30 years.
30 years. That's right. It's been a while since we've talked Deep Space Nine here on Live Long and Podcast. We've been, I think, off for 6 months. You know, we've been cleaning clams behind Joseph Sisko's restaurant, but we're ready to get back at it, back into space, deep space, that is. I'm joined, of course, by my cousin and yours, Davan Skelhorn.
How's it going?
Good, sir.
We're
Thanks
here. We're walking the promenade.
Walking the
with
promenade.
Esri
Yeah.
this time. That's all.
Yes,
the only
with
difference.
Esri. And thank you for that song. That is our new intro for this podcast. Walking that promenade.
Yeah.
So that was very, very nice of you to supply that. And of course, Kevin Millard, been with us since season 1, I believe. Back yet again.
Since 1978, as a matter of fact.
Oh, since 1978 even, you know, not 20, 30, 40 something years. But we're all here to break down yet another episode. Yeah, years.
You don't look a day over 58.
Oh, that's how it goes. And of course, we have our live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. This is a live podcast. We got Norman with us. Thanks. Yeah, we're glad to be back. We got Sam with us, coming from Newfoundland. Ala Moraine. Yes, that's right.
1, 2, 3.
Who was singing? That was Davan singing that song. But he only wants to know if Adam and Jody are coming. You know, so hey.
Well, Adam's gonna be late, and Jody was so heartbroken that Adam was gonna be late. He couldn't do it.
He couldn't even bring himself to be. He's like, now I'm busy. That's what that was.
Poor fragile Jody just couldn't handle the disappointment.
Sam pointed out he was not even alive in 1998 when this came out. Well, we're going to educate you, son, and get into this and tell you a little bit about a great Star Trek show called Star Trek DS9. So, guys, Image in the Sand. It's the season 7 premiere. It's like season 7 is really more so than the other seasons, a more like narrative season, like a more like built out with sort of like an arc, I guess, and sort of the things that have been set up in the previous seasons, like the Dominion War, like, you know, the whole thing with Sisko being the emissary, and other things. But you know, I feel like it's a little bit more planned out in this season. You know, we will get some random episodes here. We'll get like a baseball episode and a mirror universe episode along
and
a
lot of Esri.
And a lot of Esri, because they'll give Esri more episodes than they ever gave Jadzia in 6 seasons in 1 season. So, you know, we'll see how we feel about them as we go through them. But let's get back onto this episode, Image in the Sand. And let's talk a little bit about it. Let's go to you first, Kevin. How was this for you on the rewatch?
I like this. It's probably only really because I know what's coming, though. It's a good setup for everything. I like the Worf. I like that we're coming in 3 months later, and we're seeing like Worf is not over, obviously, Jadzia's death, and neither is Cisco really. And I didn't know at the time, like the first time watching this, where they were going with Cisco's mom.
Yeah.
But overall, it's good.
I'm excited for when Adam shows up, because apparently he's never watched season 7. So he watched this for the first time yesterday, I guess. So when he does show up, I'm curious to see. I guess we have to be careful not to spoil everything for him in terms of where it's going. But I'm curious to see what his reaction was to it. And now to you, Davan. This season 7, and more specifically season 7, episode 1, Image in the Sand. Where are you at with this?
I always really like this episode, actually. I mean, it's a very Cisco focused, and I'm a Cisco guy, but I love that moment when as Esri walks through the door and she's just like, "Hey, Ben, it's me, Dax." Like, I feel like she plays this really well. She was, dealt a hand that was going to be hard to follow, just based on people's not wanting Jadzia to go in the first place, even. But I think she does it well. You can see that little twinkle of Jadzia in there still, and the little twinkle of Curzon. Yeah. Especially as the episode starts to go, and she just starts to get more comfortable with Ben. She's like, "Ben, have you gotten stranger?" And gets sick of his shit and throws the baseball and all that stuff. Yeah, it's
right. Well, that's the thing, is that Esri, a different character than Jadzia, although still Dax. And so I think like all the ways they're similar and all the ways they're different will constantly be a comparison point. But how can it not be? She definitely looks. I like Nicole Dubois, a fellow Canadian and a good actress, and she does a great job in this season. But I'm always like, they kind of cast somebody who kind of that doesn't look exactly like Terry Farrell, but I think they could have cast somebody who looked very different than Terry Farrell, and that may have been more interesting to play out. But they went with a blue-eyed, dark-haired woman, pretty woman, so
down the street.
Well, and also in the science division, but not a science officer, a counselor. We'll find out. But anyway, this episode's not even really much about Esri. This episode's actually way more Cisco, and it's also about Kira and the war and some Romulans, causing a muck, and kind of setting up more stuff with the Dominion. We get a couple scenes with Wayun and Damar in this episode. We get more mentions of this Pa Wraith cult that Dukat kicked off, sort of the end of last season, and planning all that. So let's, sorry.
I do think entering a counselor into this mix was pretty fun idea, because there's a lot of like wacko characters on this station, and like they could probably use a full-time counselor, to be honest, especially all the war like trauma and stuff going on. Like it makes sense.
It does.
O'Brien tried to kill himself, and the only person they had to talk to him was Julian. I'm shocked he's still alive.
There was some other counselor that we never saw. He's just mentioned in dialogue. Like, you have to go see Counselor Trelawney.
True.
We never met them.
Right.
So they did have a counselor that just wasn't a character we ever saw on screen. But
they need a Miglamoo.
Yeah, Miglamoo. That would have been, you don't have to puke into my mouth and ask me twice. From Star Trek Lower Decks, of course. Where's my Miglamoo?
Enjoy hell, Replicator!
There's my Miglamoo when you need him. But it actually it makes more sense. Right. They don't end up really needing ever a science officer. So Jadzia's job as the science officer was usually pointless, unless she was examining some old Bajoran tablet for Ben or something like that.
First couple seasons, she might have done a little science, but then the war kicked off.
And then,
and she hooked up with a Klingon, and then she was just more of a fighter.
Right. She became like the pilot and sort of like, and commanded the Defiant for a while. But hey, Jadzia's gone, guys.
You mentioned that Jadzia, the science she would do, she'd translate something for Cisco or whatever. Didn't matter. Cisco would just end up having a vision anyway, and none of it mattered. So her job was pointless.
Hashtag where's Jeff? Well, that's an ongoing trending hashtag. But we'll.
It's like a Where's Waldo? He's here. You just have to find him, Sam.
And we need
No, that's not him. That's not Jeff.
No, that's not him. But Derek Taylor Attico, the writer of the Benjamin Sisko autobiography, would be fun to have on this podcast.
Which
this season.
comes out tomorrow.
Yes, I know. I have my pre-order coming. It already
should be there in the my mailbox tomorrow.
I saw an image today where it was like young Ben Sisko in sort of like that, the Wrath of Khan style uniform, which I guess would have still been in use.
Yeah,
when
I think
he
I saw
graduated.
that as well.
Yeah, it was like a de-aged. I don't know if it was like a younger version of Avery Brooks or not, but it was kind of a cool picture. But anyway, I digress.
Looking forward to that.
Oh, we have Heather Narduzzi.
What's up, Heather?
She hated Ezri when she was first introduced because she was so gutted on Jedzier's senseless death and viewed Ezri as a pale replacement. I can understand that. I was very skeptical on Ezri as well in the beginning. Like if I can remember that far back, but she did. Like she was completely fine, and I think Heather's maybe came around on that as well. But
of course, she's a more pale replacement. She's Canadian.
Good point. Okay, guys, let's jump into the screenshots. So it starts off with this paw wraith cult wearing the red armbands. Initially, I'd forgotten that this was the paw wraith people, and I thought they were just praying for the emissary's return. Actually, they're actually praying for the other emissary, Dukat, the emissary of the paw race. Then we but
she came around.
She came around on
Heather came around
on Ezri Dax. We find out here in the dialogue early on in the episode, Odo's talking to Kira that Kira is now Colonel Kira, more specifically Lieutenant Colonel. That promotion happened off screen in this 3-month gap since end of season 6 and the beginning of season 3. So they've all had some time to, I guess, process Jedzier's death too, and the things have been going on. Kira's been in charge since Sisko left, and they're moving along, and they're looking at this paw wraith cult, and Kira says everybody's lost their minds, and Odo says people are scared. They looked at the wormhole's closed now. Dukat has closed off the wormhole with the paw wraith for the time being, cutting off all the Dominion from the rest of their reinforcements permanently here. But that some Bajorans are looking at this as a return, like a new era to come in here. Kira says, well, they might be scared, but that's no reason to turn to fear and hate. And I did like this little exchange here with Odo.
It's no excuse to turn to hate and fear.
In times of trouble, some people find comfort in hate and fear.
In times of trouble, some people find comfort in hate and fear.
Wise words, Odo. Wise words.
Yeah. And then immediately after, he says, I could have them all rounded up.
I got them charged with loitering. She's like, no. But
he's always willing. He's always ready to do the heavy-handed breaking. Like, yeah.
He's always ready to infringe on people's rights for the sense of order. He is he's a changeling.
So,
luckily, he didn't say what he was thinking, which was, in times of trouble, you solids take comfort in hate and fear.
No, yeah, not so much. But we also, they're obviously still a couple going strong here. They'd mentioned the kiss that changed his life. And everything else. Then the Defiant shows up here on Deep Space Nine.
That was a good line, actually. Changed my life.
Yeah. Changed my life.
I love that line.
The Defiant's been on convoy duty for 10 days, which they're happy about. But Nog's like, well, it's better than combat duty, but Worf's not having it.
In wartime, it is the duty of every soldier to fight. It is a time for warriors to do great deeds, to triumph in glorious battles, not waste away protecting a shipment of stem bolts.
Yeah, no stem bolts, self-sealing or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of dresses down Nog and walks off the bridge, which Bashir and Orion tell him not to take too seriously.
Worst thing about those friggin' self-sealing stem bolts is they don't self-unseal.
That's right.
You put one self-sealing stem bolt on wrong,
they leave that out of the brochure when they're marketing them.
Yeah, they do.
And Sam's asking Heather where she's from. I think she's from across whatever's the water that divides Labrador and Newfoundland, Sam. Whatever that body of water is called. Anyway,
the St. Lawrence, Gulf of St. Lawrence.
Gulf is it? Okay, maybe, yeah. I've never been to Newfoundland or Labrador, so I'm not as familiar with it. But I know it's out there. Cisco's Creole Restaurant, where we last saw, Ben Sisko and Jake Sisko with Joseph Sisko. Apparently, Ben's just been, cleaning clams and playing the piano at night for the diners here at the restaurant. We see Joseph Sisko in his element, always recommending the shrimp Creole. And Jake's a little bit worried about him, saying like, we've been kind of giving him space for 3 months. Is it time to stop giving him space? But Joseph Sisko says no. Let him be. He's in a dark place. It's the wormhole's closed. The war is not going great. How do you guys feel about Ben's decision to, I guess, retreat in the middle of the war here in this particular time in the story? Kevin?
I don't know. I don't really feel anything about it. He's following the prophets. He's a full convert now. And obviously what the prophets want him to do is more important than his duty as a Starfleet officer.
Yeah. And Davan?
Well, I kind of look at it a slightly different way. They need a miracle at this point in the war, and he's looking for one. He doesn't think Ben Sisko, the Starfleet officer, can get the job done necessarily.
But the emissary can.
But maybe the emissary can, yeah.
Interesting. Well, just on that note, the baseball he took with him from Deep Space Nine, indicating that to Kira that he didn't know if he was ever going to come back. We see that this baseball starts rolling along onto the ground, on its own. I guess the prophet, tipped it or something. A prophet ghost, but then he has a vision. He's digging sand. We're finding out this planet is called Tyree. Is this a planet we'd ever heard of before? Is this a planet I've forgotten? Because how did he even know what planet he was on based on this vision?
Tatooine.
Sounds familiar.
It sounds like Tatooine, yeah. Similar to, and he's digging up the sand here in the vision, finds this cloth here with a woman's face in it that then cracks open. And we revealed this woman, which ends up, we'll find out, is Sisko's mom. Later on, Sarah. This face, her eyes open, and then he comes out of the vision, and he tells Jake, "I saw a woman, her face in the sand." He goes, "What does it mean?" He goes, "I have no idea. I've never seen this woman before." And there's a bit of a mystery here. Oh, let's just take that down for a second. Joining us for the first time ever on Deep Space Nine, we got Adam Woodward.
Hey guys, I apologize for the lateness.
That's okay. We're glad to have you with us. We're pretty early on into our recap of the plot of this particular episode, but Adam, I just wanted to take a time out to welcome you and to say, it's exciting that we have somebody on this podcast this season who is going through these episodes for the first time, my understanding, right? You haven't watched season 7 yet.
I'm going through Deep Space Nine in its entirety for the first time ever. Actually, I've watched pieces of it over the years, but for such a big Star Trek fan like myself, I've never watched the whole thing in entirety. So no, the answer is no. I don't think I've ever done season 7.
Okay, and so this episode, Image in the Sand, which we're talking about tonight, this is the first time you've ever seen it as of yesterday, I'm presuming?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly right.
Very cool. All right, and how did you like it?
It was very long.
It was very long. It was as long as any Enterprise episode.
Okay, put it this way. I didn't enjoy the pace. I thought the pace was very slow.
Yeah, I could relate a little bit to that because I felt like this didn't feel as much like a premiere as some of the other premieres of the other seasons did. This is kind of a slow build.
And just coming off of season 6, where you guys always mention the battles. There certainly was a big battle coming out of it. It didn't feel like it felt like a finale, but it didn't feel like a season opener at all.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think because they're setting things up. They were kind of like, I feel like starting a new chapter. I think they were trying to like figure out what to do with the Jadzia death, which was, and then bringing this new character in and everything else they had planned out. And some of this works better for me than other things. But we also. How did you feel about the death of Jadzia in the end of season 6?
Again, I mean, not a surprise, but. When people in Star Trek die, they just don't seem to make it a big enough deal either. She just died.
She just died. Tasha Yar got like a real big send off. She got a funeral and everything, and so did Spock when he died.
I was thinking more of Tasha because again, that was meant to be a meaningless death, and it certainly was, and I felt the same way here. But get it. I liked Worf. Worf was very. The Warriors cry at the end. It was good to see that. But
yeah, and I think that part of like what so we're starting like this post Jadzia death storyline, and what I guess my issue with it is like when Duras killed Kalar, what did Worf do?
Same
and killed Duras.
He went right over and killed Duras. Didn't care what Picard really thought about it. He kind of cared, but he didn't really care.
Started a civil war is what he did.
He started a civil war. And here, when Dukat and I guess the Pa-Wraith kill Jadzia, he doesn't like. He has no like. Well, I'm going to find Dukat and kill him. There's none of that. Because that's for Sisko to do because he's Sisko's nemesis, and I think that's part of what I don't like in this season.
There are some episodes that explore that this season, though.
Like him and Dukat specifically?
Not him and Dukat, but him and like Jadzia and coming to terms with her death and his part in like how to bring honor to her death and his part in doing that.
Well, they started that right in this first episode, I guess they,
Yeah. Well, they did.
They're going on a mission to get her in a mission.
Yeah.
I think but you should be looking for Dukat, is my opinion. That's part of like I feel like the choice to have Dukat kill Jadzia was the wrong one. Like if you have to kill her off, then maybe do it a different way. Have someone else.
Could have been Damar.
Could have been Damar. Then Worf's going for Damar, or have it be like Weyoun or something like that. That would be great.
Worf would kill Damar in 3 seconds, though. That would have been a problem. That would have been a problem for Damar.
Or Weyoun.
Actually, it would have been a great end to, or a great like theme through season 7 if it was Weyoun and Worf killed him like 8 times because he was a clone, right? So a new one would come up. Worf would just kill that one.
New one.
Well, if Kai Wynn, like Worf versus Kai Wynn, I don't think that would be a fight either.
Yeah, Worf's in trouble in that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Adam, we were just at the point of the episode where Sisko had the vision, finding the woman's face in the sand and saying he doesn't know who she is to Jake.
So can I? And I don't mean to slow things down here, but I have to.
Okay.
Do you guys like? What do you like? Do you like Sisko? Everybody, do you find him? Yeah.
What? I love Sisko. He's my favorite fictional character of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like how into it this religion stuff he is. And I kind of feel like sometimes the other admiral's going, Ben, can you get back on track?
But he knows that too, though. He's being pulled in that direction, sort of against his will, and
he resists it for a long time.
Yeah, he does.
But now he's fully into it. He's fully like it's almost like his religion. He's almost like converted into this religion now. And
it's because they've actually performed miracles for him on multiple occasions.
Yeah. But they're not gods. Like they're just like aliens.
But does he worship them as gods? Not really. He doesn't worship them per se. He just like understands the power that they have and doesn't mind seeing what that can do for him. Yeah.
Right.
He's always yelling at them and giving them shit when they were in that white room.
True.
With black curtains.
Yeah.
He was very calm in this episode, I felt, aside from the father relationship. Admiral Cartwright, by the way.
Admiral Cartwright. What's the guy's name? The actor?
Brock Peters.
Brock Peters, great as Joseph Sisko. Loved him in the show. So that was all that.
He's so funny in this. How you doing back there, Dad? Never better.
Yeah.
He's like dying in the sand. It's like,
oh, you mean like in the next episode?
Oh, is that the next one? My bad.
Yeah.
All right. So then after the credits, we get the title of this episode, Image in the Sand, with this Romulan senator who will become an important character this season, I believe, if memory serves. Senator Kretak, as played by Megan Cole, as good old Bill Ross is here saying, hey, I guess he's Kira's boss at the moment. He's like, yeah, we're bringing some Romulans to the station. Kira doesn't like it. She's like, Romulans, really? Like they're a little shifty. And he's like, well, guess what? We already made the decision. You don't get a say. So get on with it. And,
yeah, that Ross was a bit of a dick here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he likes Kira that much. I get that impression.
She's not Starfleet.
Yeah,
she's not Starfleet. I don't know if he knows how. She's not, but she does submit to him in the chain of command. Although he does say she's done a great job. She says she's just keeping the chair warm. He doesn't say that for Ben Sisko.
yeah.
But
He says she's done a fine job, not
a fine
great
job.
job.
That's true. Important distinction. And the Romulans are coming.
Do Starfleet admirals ever say you've done a great job, though? No.
Only the bad girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bad admirals. You're doing a great job there, Will. Now help me betray your captain.
I do like how Kira at the end of the scene just picks up that little holder thing that Sisko keeps his baseball in. You know, it's now empty, indicating how she's missing Sisko. Then we have her head over to Cardassia, where Damar's like, yeah, we just gave the Klingons a pasting at some system in the war. A lot of this war, Adam, does take place in just conversations. We're just told there was a battle here. We're just told there was another battle there. But we will get more space battles this season.
That's my favorite way to watch war.
Yeah. Just hearing about it off camera.
About it.
Lots of chatter. Lots of chatter.
Lots of chatter. Damar
I love this scene.
Yeah.
Look, the war gets less profitable the closer you get to it.
True. Damar's going hard on that Kanar. I had Kanar with Damar. As I think Quark made that joke a couple of seasons ago. Which I always like how this Kanar is just like this syrupy looking stuff. It's not even
so
like
thick.
It's so thick. It's like weird to see a guy drink syrup out of a glass like this. Which Weyoon makes a comment on. Like, do you ever just drink that swill out of the bottle, or why do you even bother with a glass? He's like, I do when I feel like celebrating, and I do right now.
I love the best part of that dialogue is when he says, "Do you just drink that out of the bottle?" Damar just goes,
out of
"Depends
the
on my mood."
I love that. What a great comeback.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not insulting me about talking about my drinking. I love my drinking. He's like,
true. Damar is fully committed to the Kanar.
He sure is.
Yeah, these two are I actually like them better than Dukat and Weyoon, Damar and Weyoon.
Oh yeah.
It's such like this. It's like the two evil stooges going at it all the time. Although Damar, not without spoiling things for you, Adam, but Damar will have sort of a redemption. Anyway, but yeah, them going.
Damar's an undersung character, though. He's a great character.
Oh yeah,
sure.
He's great.
Sisko's back to there. Sisko is working on trying to get the face going of the woman he saw in the vision. Turns out this will be his mom. But I thought this was kind of a cool looking thing for 1998. Being able to kind of like create the face like in this way with the touchpad. Nowadays, this doesn't look too impressive with iPads and everything now that we have, but back then it did. Anyway, so Jake comes and finds him. He's like, "What are you doing, Dad?" He's like, "I'm trying to make the face, before I forget." And Jake's like, "I've seen this woman before in a photo. Hold on." At one point, Sisko like grabs his ear here, like he's checking his paw or something.
Yeah, he was checking his paw.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Yeah, here's the photograph." We see a young Brock Peters, or I guess maybe an actor playing a young Brock Peters, with that woman.
I don't think that's Brock Peters.
I guess it must not be. I guess they were like, this guy could pass for a young Brock Peters, but
unless they knew they were going to make this episode 40 years ago.
Could be a composite photo. It could be like a younger photo of him and an older, like.
Oh, I suppose.
But anyway, pre-Google images when they did this. That's true. And then he goes, "Hey, Dad, who's this woman with you in the photo?" And he does not have a great reaction. He's like, what are you doing? Stay out of my business. I don't want to talk about it. He kind of runs off.
Yeah,
in
he
the
runs
store.
She's nobody. She's nobody at all. You hear me?
Nobody at all.
Nobody at all.
Leave me
So,
alone. And
well,
we're like,
clearly
"That's not
she's somebody.
suspicious."
You have a picture of her. Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, Dad, what's up? He's like, no. Anyway, we'll come back to him.
He is the most
he's so
hilarious
funny.
brush-offs ever, though, Joe Sisko. Like, even he doesn't want to talk to you, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and then he stops away like a child all the
He
time.
sure does.
We catch up with Worf back on D Space Nine, looking at the photo here of from his wedding last season with Jadzia and himself.
Looks like they're medieval times.
Well, maybe they like medieval times.
Yep.
No utensils. Worf would go for that. Anyway, he's looking at it. He looks at the photo in bed here in his. I always love his green pajamas. And then he heads up to the Hollow Suite to talk to Vic. He's like, "Hey Vic, where you been? Convoy duty." He's like, "That sounds exciting." He was like, "It was not. I do not like convoy duty." And he's like, "Sing the song." But Vic tries to talk him out of it. But
I don't want to sing the
he's like,
song.
I don't want to sing the song. Maybe he's like, "Sing the damn song. You're a hologram. Do what I want." So he starts singing the song. Play a little bit of it for you here.
When somebody loves you, it's no good unless he loves you all the way. Happy to be near you when you need someone to cheer you all the way.
Leave it there, but it's a good song.
Taller than the tallest tree is.
I know it's a good
How
song.
it's got
I
to
was,
feel. Oh, that's a great song.
but as Worf is I listened to it a few times today, and I was like, I like this more than I thought I did.
Oh man, listen to that whole Vic Fontaine album. I feel like I should take that on Eamon's show.
Maybe,
so good.
yeah. Anyway, but Worf's losing it as he's listening to this. Apparently, this was Jadzia's favorite song, and then he starts smashing things and breaking the whole place up.
So, what did it matter that he broke up the place?
It doesn't.
But they made a big deal of it. It was like
It did.
it's a
Sure
whole.
did. Just because he's not dealing with his anger, they feel like.
I think he's dealing with his anger. This is the worst way.
By not breaking up a real.
Well, yeah,
I agree.
like what
But he's a Klingon.
Like I was like, well, I get O'Brien is Worf's friend. I guess Julian is his friend, but Quark is definitely not his friend. So it's interesting that eventually like those three will be the ones to help him on this mission that's coming up. But anyway, I guess Kira doesn't care, and or she's too busy. Odo is not interested. Anyway, so well, that's all going on here. They're all watching Worf tear up the place. Then we catch up with the Romulan Senator. What's her name? Kretak? Oh,
Whoops, my bad.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
deleting things.
putting a Klingon overlay on a Romulan symbol there. Maybe. Anyway, so Kira and Kretak, because she's Kretak does not like these Cardassian chairs, and get me. I hope they're not all uncomfortable, but Kira says yes, they are actually, but you'll get used to them, just like everything else.
Right. In all those years, they could never replace the chairs on the station.
Yeah, apparently, no,
Chairs-
you have to. You can't replicate new chairs. It has to be Cardassian chairs, guys.
Chairs and blankets for orphans, the two things that they have not figured out how to replicate.
True. I can't even bring out a chair from Romulus with you, but I guess not. Anyway, so the relationship here with Kretak and Kira is beginning to build. Kira already mentioned she's suspicious of her, the Romulans coming on the station in the first place.
Heather Narduzzi could not agree with you more. Vic Fontaine, I get a little upset anytime anyone slights him. He's a gem and a beautiful singer, and he added a ton to the show.
I have no thing against Vic. I think he's overused a little bit. Yeah.
No.
All right.
Esri, maybe. Vic, no.
Well, they have this whole bar, Quark's bar, and then they're like, no, forget Quark's bar. We're going to this other bar, Vic's. So I guess that's sometimes where I'm like, feel it's a disconnect. Anyway, we see the place smashed up.
One of the best lines in Star Trek, though, is in that scene there. It's just like, look, if you smash this place up again, the band's going to quit. They cannot quit. They're holograms. They don't know that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite
They don't
lines
know
in the
that.
show. They don't know
I'm glad
that.
you brought that up because that had me laughing so hard.
Oh,
I
man.
love that line.
They can't quit. They're holograms.
Heather wants more Vic, she says in the chat.
Yeah, more Vic. Come on over, Heather. We'll sing some Vic tunes together.
Yeah, and then Vic's like, I don't care what he does. I'm never singing that song again for him. He can buy a Sinatra album. No, forget the Sinatra album. Buy the Vic Fontaine album.
Yeah, this one's from the heart. James Darren. Check it out, everybody. It's amazing. I've listened to it 1,000 times. It's my landscaping music.
Yeah, it's good. The storyline here with back with Joseph Sisko.
Look at his eyes. He's so hilarious.
He's like, Dad, I need you to talk to me. He's like, no, we don't.
No,
need
what?
to talk. No. And this is where this is where Sisko loses it on him. He's like, I need you to tell me. Where is it?
You have to tell me. I need to know who she is.
I feel like Sisko's the parent that just got sick of dealing with his toddler. It's just like, look, stop screaming. Stop the screaming. It's just like, I'm sick of your shit. Just be an adult for 2 seconds, please. But like, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, I'm sorry, Dad. And then he kind of goes
Yeah,
off.
exactly.
Galrod eyes. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so but eventually, so this little outburst by Ben Sisko gets Joseph Sisko to actually come down here and sit down. He's like, well, the thing is that Sarah, she was my wife. And he goes, you had a wife before Mama? He goes, no, she is your mother. It's like,
Sarah was your mother.
that's a bombshell. What do you guys think about this? Like that I guess we never met the other mother. She's never been in the show, so. But
this was important for the show to explain why Sisko had all these ties to the prophets and why he was the emissary and all this stuff. I think this is story points that needed to happen.
Yeah. Well,
it's a pretty bloody big revelation too. Even as an adult, and you find this, my mom wasn't my mom.
Yeah, Sisko's like well into it, like maybe 50 by this point in his life. Like I don't know exactly how old he is.
40s.
Well,
I think he's supposed to be in his late 30s, actually, in the show. The actor's older.
Joseph Sisko says in the episode that he met his mother in like the summer of 31, and so presumably, I guess, and Ben's born the next year, so 32. This is 75, so he's 43. Ben Sisko's only 43.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's
just a commander member when the show starts. He's still just a fairly. Not too old off.
But how old was Avery Brooks at this time? Avery Brooks.
He was older.
He was like he was about 50 at this point, so he was a little older. Okay, but not crazy older. Anyway, so but to find out,
damn good if you ask me.
To find out in your 40s or late 40s, I guess, that your mom's not your mom, big deal. Especially in like the Star Trek age, where you imagine with all like the DNA testing and science you have at your fingertips, that this would be a hard thing to hide, but apparently not.
But you'd have to go looking for that, I suppose. Like he'd have to go
looking
his DNA with his mother, and why would you do it?
I guess you wouldn't. So it's, but or that his sisters, all his siblings are half siblings, right? So
plus, unfortunately, Maury Povich is probably dead by this point in the future.
True. Yeah. If Maury Povich was hosting, You Are the Father. Anyway,
Joseph Sisko, you are not the father.
Well, you are.
But even again, like when you, as a child, finding out that your mom. The mother you thought was your mother was complacent in that whole thing too. She knew, of course, she knew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she
disapprovingly, but felt it was not her role to give that news.
Right. And then he's like, "What?" He's like, "I grew up when I was why didn't you tell me when I grew up?" He's like, "Well, I thought about it, but then I didn't want to like ruin things." So
he's like, "It didn't make it any easier." He said,
"Yeah." He said he thought it would be easier, and it wasn't. I thought that was a genius line. Like,
this.
Yeah,
so that's good. The writing in this episode, this series, really. But
what is Joseph?
Life was full of choices. You make them and hope for the best. Sometimes you're right, but sometimes you're not.
Yep.
Heather makes a good point. Maury Povich Speed program. Problem
Yeah.
solved.
Get him and Vic working together. I don't know. It could be something
Yeah,
like
you know,
that.
it's a great line. You know, we all have kids, and you know, often question your decisions you made along the way, and
Yeah,
sometimes they're red.
right.
I love what a dichotomy he is, though. Like, he's this wise old man, but he's also this child that stomps his feet and won't take his medicine. All wrapped
Yes.
into
Well,
one person.
Yes.
Because he's so unchanging. He's just like, I always wanted to be a cook. I'm a cook. Every day I cook. I like to cook, and like that's who he is. And he just like doesn't want to change anything about his world or about himself.
But he's also got some wisdom though on the way too. You know, that you pick up.
You still gain that with age, right?
Yep.
One would hope.
Yeah. He tells us a story about meeting Sarah, Ben's mother, that like they fell in love and then they were going for a while and then she just took off one day. He couldn't find her. Then he tracked her down to Australia, but she had died in an accident. And that was it, you know, but he never got any explanation. So it's kind of this mystery that's left unexplained here. Of course, it will be explained, and some of us.
What a sad, twisted story the story of Sarah Cisco is, though. Where she gets taken over by this entity, forced to marry somebody she wouldn't have otherwise married and have their kid. And then like you get your realization back that wasn't your decision and then take off. Like twisted story.
Yeah.
Did the
prophets aren't nice.
Did the prophets kill her?
No, the prophets
just
didn't kill her. She just randomly died. But like they left her, the prophets left her body, and then she realized she didn't love like Joseph because she didn't choose him in the first place, and that's why she left.
Who are you?
See ya. Yeah, exactly. Like that's a crazy thing to happen.
And she left the baby.
Left the baby. Like,
yeah. Right. But luckily, Joseph Cisco was, you know, able to get a new wife pretty quickly, you know, and had a whole bunch of other kids. So, you know, he never knew, you know, and so anyway, so that's all the big revelation there. Okay. Then the next storyline, we're back to DS9. We see all this, you know, I like seeing all the Federation, Romulan and Klingon ships always kind of buzzing around the station here. You know, we catch up on the promenade with Kira, who sees Senator Kretak buying a Jumja stick, you know, and licking it up. And this is their next encounter. He's like, oh, I guess like this relationship between Kretak and Kira is taking place over a longer period of time in this episode. I don't think it's like a day or two. This feels like maybe a couple weeks that they have these conversations because, you know, they're talking about the Jumja sticks. We're also told about a Romulan
Ozil twist.
An Ozil twist because Kira doesn't like Jumja sticks. They're too sweet. You know, and she's going on. But then she's like, hey, is this where she asks her about the hospital? About yeah. She's like, hey, I'd like to build a hospital on your uninhabited moon for the Romulans because you know, and Durna. And she was like, okay, I'll talk to the ministers about it. You know, maybe you like Jumja sticks. You're maybe not such a bad Romulan after all. You know, a Romulan joining Jumja stick. Yeah, she's going for it. You know, and so Kira's like, you know what, maybe I was wrong about her, but she'll find out at the end of the episode she was not. And then we see here that they're sicking O'Brien onto Worf with the blood wine because O'Brien's maybe, you know, somebody that Worf would not like throw away or not like push away immediately as much, right? So he's like, you know, 2301, a very good year for blood wine, Davan. Did you know that?
Very young and very sweet.
Very young, very sweet. Anyway, so he shows up. Worf, you know, he tries to get rid of him. They have a couple swigs here, but O'Brien's like, come on, let's talk about, you remember Reginald Barclay on this Enterprise? You know,
who could forget him?
Who could forget that guy?
I love that's the guy they go to.
Yeah.
Remember Geordie with the sword? He's like, it was hilarious.
The Three Musketeers. Oh my god.
Musketeers. You know, and they're all going here.
Do you have any glasses? None that are clean.
None that are clean.
From the bubble in,
who needs that? They couldn't replicate a couple clean glasses.
Seriously,
that's always my favorite when Worf is just forced to do things because people won't listen to him. Like they're just not afraid of him at all.
So this scene could have been a little more interesting if they had, because here, you know, they're showing O'Brien all hungover, and he said we went into 3 or 4 bottles, or whatever he said. I would have loved to have seen bottle 4 or 3. You know, like,
oh yeah,
what was going on?
Yeah, what was going on
in the whole episode?
Yeah, Brian tells
Worf and
us
O'Brien
You
get
should never
along.
try to match drinks with a Klingon.
never match drinks with a Klingon. Going on here. Well, what did he tell you? He's like, well, he didn't even. We talked about lots of things, but we didn't even talk about Jadzia until like the third bottle. I think he said about like 3 a.m. or something like that. And he's like, well, here's the problem. Jadzia's not in Stovacor. She didn't die in glorious battle, and she never ate the heart of her enemy.
She always was a bit squeamish.
Almost though. Almost
nearly
ate
did.
the heart of the albino.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was ready to do it.
Will you eat from the heart of the albino?
Did Worf ever eat the heart of his enemy? I can't recall him doing that.
He must have ate a little
probably-
bit of Duras at some point.
Yeah, he was like, I got some
sure.
Duras heart, and then I ate a little. Anyway, so that they need a big.
He fried
quest.
it up the next morning with his eggs.
Yeah, they're like, well, we need a mission here we need like a way to get her into Stovacor is like some kind of great like quest, some kind of dangerous mission in her name would be worthy. There's like a loophole here, and they're like, well, we just need to get Worf on a dangerous mission then, like, well, how are we gonna approach that?
Admiral, could you please send the Divine on the most dangerous mission you can think of? Jadzia needs to get into Stovacor.
Admiral.
Quark's like, sounds good to me. Like, let's send Worf on a dangerous mission. But then I think they figure out that Martok is coming to the station, and then maybe they should talk to him instead. Maybe they can send him on a dangerous mission on a Klingon ship. Riker stopped Worf from eating Duras' heart. Yeah, that's right. That was dishonor there, Riker.
Yeah, it was.
And we have Cisco cleaning more clams behind the restaurant, talking to Ben, or just Joseph Cisco, who brings him this this necklace that belonged to his mother. He's like, there's some kind of writing on it. What do you think that is? He's like, I don't know. And so look. Starts looking. It's Bajoran writing, ancient Bajoran, which Cisco, he's like, what does it say? He goes, I don't know. I can't read ancient Bajoran. I can only read the modern Bajoran. But then he starts like looking through all the pads. We get a time jump here to the morning where he's able to start getting through. He's like, it says it's to look out for the orb of the emissary, and they kind of figure out that all the emissaries since Dukat closed the wormhole and attacked with the Parate, that all the orbs have gone dark, so no one can talk to the prophets at the moment. But Cisco's like, well, we got some progress. We got to go to Tyree because that's where the vision is. So I think that's where we need to go. That's kind of like the gist of that scene. And then we catch up here in the war room with Kretak and Kira, where we see all the casualties from the recent battle with the Dominion, that the Romulans took the brunt. But it's all good because they got that great hospital on Derna. So it's it's not as bad,
I love this rivalry they're developing though. Like even in this friendliness, they're still trying to like push each other to the next just try to one up each other. She's like, hey, I'll be nice to you because then you're gonna have to be nicer to me here in our next altercation. Like
true.
The whole thing is a rivalry and it just comes to such a great head. This is a really good episode.
Their schemes are plans.
Yeah. Your schemes are barely plans. Yes. What does Wayun tell us later about the Romulans?
Romulans. They're so predictably treacherous.
Predictably treacherous.
Predictably treacherous.
So this is where Kira's going along after a nice pleasant encounter with Kretak, and Odo's like, hey, I got something to tell you. So that hospital on Derna, they didn't let any Starfleet ships go there. And she was like, oh, they wouldn't mind. Maybe they're just not set up for Federation species. He's like, yeah, but all of them were Vulcans, but Kira's not convinced yet. And he's like, and they have trilithium. And this is where he's like, it looks like a bunch of weapons are on the planet,
So
maybe lead with the proof next time.
Yeah.
My impression of Odo is like he's like the perfect security officer that nobody else had. This guy knows everything.
He's like the best in the whole damn quadrant.
He does his job. Like,
he certainly does. And all the other
Eddington was good until he wasn't.
Well,
right.
And remember, we're just coming off of Enterprise, where we had the worst security officer ever.
No, we did not.
Oh, come on. He knew nothing. The captain always had to suggest, why don't you go check there for this? Or why don't you do that? This guy knows everything. I like him a lot. He's a great character.
Yep.
He is a great character.
Maybe the
Adam, how old were you when you killed your first traitor?
traitor. Since the best. I was like, where is that? But anyway, so then go to the holosuite with Worf, who is practicing his moves with his batleth. Enter Martok.
Defend yourself, Worf!
And then he's just like attacks Worf. He's like, defend yourself! And he's like, all right. I love the Klingons. You know, and this is how they start having conversations. Like, how you like the convoy duty? He's like, I don't.
Such a Klingon insult, convoy duty.
Yeah. Protect a convoy. He ends up beating Martok to the ground in this fight, and he's like, "How would you like to be my first officer on a dangerous quest?" And then Worf's like, "That sounds fun. Let's do that."
How dangerous? He's like,
very dangerous.
Dangerous enough to ensure Jadzia a place in
Stovokor. You know, and then so they're Worf's ready. He's ready. Like, send me in. I'm ready to. I don't know what else to do with myself. And then so back with Sisko and Jake, who are getting ready to make their quest to Tyree. That he's cleaning all the clams, and then Sisko's like, "I'm going to bring clams on the runabout with me and clean them on the ship, so I have something to do." You know, he just likes cleaning clams. As he's getting putting out the garbage or whatever, Sisko then sees this hooded guy. This guy couldn't be threatening at all. This dark hooded figure with the red thing. He's
Never
like, "What's up?"
An armband.
Yeah, restaurant's closed. We see his Bajoran. The emissary is wise. He says something to Bajoran, you know, and then we know where this is going. It turns out he's a bad guy. He's a Pa Wraith guy. He stabs. He's like, that's almost like a Joseph Sisko kind of expression there. When Ben gets stabbed,
like father, like son.
So yeah, they are related. And then,
so that's the face Joseph makes when you don't put enough cayenne pepper in the gumbo.
That's true. He does. And then you know, he's like, "You're never gonna find the orb of the emissary," or whatever. And then Jake hits this guy with a bag of clams and knocks him out. One of my favorite parts of the episode. That works.
And then Grandpa, not like call 911. It's just called Grandpa.
Called Grandpa, who would then, I guess, you know, call Starfleet, or I guess whoever is the medical emergency people in New Orleans.
You can probably hospitals could probably just beam you there anymore. Like, there wouldn't be ambulances; they would just beam you. You'd think.
I mean, he was pretty good in the next scene, so I think they probably did that.
Yeah, we see here that Joseph can't even remember what the special is. He's like, "It's shrimp creole." Actually, no, it's shrimp cocktail or something else. You know, he's grilled shrimp or something, because he's a little out of his element here. We see barbecue shrimp. He's actually barbecue shrimp. We see that Sisko, Ben Sisko, shows up. He was released 2 hours ago from the hospital, but he had to give a report to Starfleet security. They explain in dialogue that the guy who attacked him was a Pa Wraith guy, and the Pa Wraith cult is going. But Joseph Sisko, he's like, "I'm not too worried about the cult. I'm more worried about the actual Pa Wraiths, and that they know you're looking for this orb, and that could be trouble," which I guess is a fair point. But that's never going to stop Ben Sisko before. That is why the Holodeck program and Prodigy, they chose Odo, even though he is not in Starfleet. I was looking for this quote while we were talking about Odo.
"You're the best law enforcement officer in this sector. Maybe the whole damn quadrant."
Maybe. Anyway,
action, Jake.
Catch up here with O'Brien and Bashir and Quarks. They're having a pint to celebrate that. Good, we got Martok hooked up with Worf. They're going to go on a crazy, dangerous mission, and they're going to get into Stovokor.
Yeah, but the best question there was, what if she wouldn't want to go to Stovokor?
Yeah, maybe she wants to go to Trill Heaven. And they're like, probably not.
Yeah.
They're like, wherever Trills go when they die, and they don't even know. Like, that's maybe one
of those pools. One of those little pools.
They know not too much about the Trill, even though they worked with one for 6 years. Anyway, but then Quark says, "Well, I hope you're not gonna go on this mission, Bashir." He's like, "Oh, I'm going on the mission." He's like, "What?" Quark has this reaction of Ryan, or like, "Why do you need to go on?" He's like, "I have to honor her memory. I have to do this for Dax." How do you feel about Bashir's choice here, that he's going to go on the quest?
He would want to.
And Jadzia would want him to?
I don't think she'd care. No, she would. She loved Julian too. Like,
Yeah.
she would probably think it was sweet.
So O'Brien's like, well, then I have to go too, just to make sure that
Sheer can't handle himself.
Yeah. Spoilers, Adam. Quark is going to go too.
Of course.
So,
but again, these Starfleet officers can just assign themselves to duty. Like
they can just go on a Klingon ship, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Chief can just delegate his duties to his crew.
True,
his
I guess.
staff.
I'm going.
Yeah.
We're going.
So can Bashir, I suppose. Like the nurses, you're doing all my work today.
Yeah.
There's got to be another doctor
You're
there
assigned
too,
to the
right?
station and say, well, actually, I'm going to go off with these guys and fight this whole dangerous battle where we probably won't survive. But anyway. Next scene was with Admiral Ross talking to Senator Kretak, and then Kira just busts into this meeting. He's like, "We're having a meeting here." She's like,
such a badass.
This is important.
She does not. He's like, "This is important." Bill.
Sorry, Bill. Just have a little business to take care of.
Yeah, he's just like, well, they put that moon we gave them at the hospital, they put weapons on it. And then Kretak's just like, well,
we have to defend the hospital.
We have to defend the hospital, Even Bill Ross is like, yeah, this is not good, is it?
Kira's just like, Bajor will guarantee its safety. She's just like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Your little shitty ships aren't going to protect anything.
Yeah, your Bajoran interceptors, which we
exactly.
F-tiered or whatever on our podcast.
We didn't like those too much.
Back. I just like how that whole encounter. Then we go over to Cardassia, where I don't know. Damar has a throwaway line here, but then he meets up with Woodward. He's just like, guess what the Romulans did? They put weapons on this Bajoran moon. And he's like, Damar's like, they're not gonna like that. He's like, of course not. Would you? I wouldn't like it if I were the Bajorans either. So predictably treacherous. This could be the end of an alliance. They're hoping that this will end the Romulan alliance.
It was such a predictably treacherous Romulan move, though. It's just like, just take the friggin' inch you were given, Romulus. Like, don't friggin' God. It's such a Romulan move.
A Romulan's got a Romulan, What are you gonna say?
It's true.
And then finally, Cisco is ready to go. The Cisco family is going to go on this trip as we see that Joseph and Jake are both going with Ben. They're packed their bags, which Ben doesn't really fight them too hard. He's like, yeah, I guess you guys come along too. We got to do this together. And then we get our Esri introduction to finish up the episode. She comes in, says hello, Benjamin, and all that. It's kind of a nice little
hello, Benjamin
intro.
Sweet Jax.
He's just
great.
like,
I like it.
Whose are you?
And you know what?
You.
Credit to Nicole DeBoer. And it's even harder to do because it's an established character, but she comes into this character in this episode, and especially the next episode, fully formed as a character. Whereas it took Terry Farrell, 2-3 seasons to get the hang of Jadzia?
Yeah.
But Nicole just right off the bat just comes right in. Maybe that's why they gave her so many episodes in season 7 too, because she was just killing it right off the start, and they wanted to reward that. I don't know, but
maybe. I think that there was a weird relationship with the producers and writers of Deep Space Nine and Terry Farrell. I don't think they respected her very early on. I think she had more anxiety or nerves or whatever, and the relationship seems complicated. But they eventually let that go and gave Jadzia way more. And just when she was hitting her stride, everything blew up with the contracts and everything else. So, anyways, Nicole DeBoer, a very good actress, so deserves a lot of credit. And
it's me, Dax.
it wasn't. It is kind of if you're gonna kill off a character and continue with that character, the Dax character was the best one to do it for, right? Of everyone else, because the symbiote thing is already built into the plot. And you can continue.
It's not like they wanted to kill off a character either. It was sort of like behind the scenes stuff that sort of forced their hand.
Yeah,
she was leaving the show.
The entire cast was only signed for 6 seasons, right? It's kind of like what happened with Claudia Christensen on Babylon 5, where she was replaced by Tracy Scogins in season 5.
I know. Tell me about it, Kevin. Just everything. Got to do a Star Trek podcast, and it's Babylon 5 this, Babylon 5
Oh,
that.
I know. Jesus.
What?
I love it. He said, I love that he's going to relate this story like any of us are going to know what the hell.
It's like Claudia Christensen, obviously.
Davan knows. He watched it.
Yeah, I did.
Anyway.
Oh, boy.
That's this story.
But I don't talk about it.
This is a real setup episode though, like for where they're going, you know. So I think as a premiere, you could make the point it doesn't come out with a huge bang like some of the other like the season 6 and the season 5 premieres did. You know, even the season 4 premiere, The Way of the Warrior, I think is still like the best season opener they ever did. You know, not maybe counting the pilot, which Emissary is, you know, its own thing. Right, but this is a slower build. They're setting up all these storylines, and they're gonna take their time here, Adam. And so, but the payoff by the end is worth it. You know, I think. So I hope that's going over there. Who would like to do the fun facts tonight? Is anybody? I'll do them.
They're gonna be the most fun if you do it, Dave.
Yeah, I'll do them. Why not? Why not me? All right, so where do we want to start? When it came to write this episode, Ira Stephen Bear and Hans Beimler tried to achieve something very specific with it. We started the final season. We made a very bold and perhaps stupid choice, although I do it again. We wrote the quietest opening episode we'd ever done on the show. This time, we decided we're going to play with the audience expectations and give them something smaller, more intimate, and quieter. A reflective breath, so to speak. Well, it was done intentionally, guys.
Well, you did a good job. Then they did it.
Then they did exactly what they set out to do.
My rating just went up.
With the writing staff having taken a hard emotional blow to the departure of Jedzia Dax, actress Terry Farrell, the writers proceeded to fill the vacuum that had been left in the ensemble of my main characters by creating the new role of Ezri Dax. Renee Echeverria recalled, once we knew for certain that Terry Farrell wasn't going to return, we decided to take the opportunity to create a new Dax. Ira Stephen Bear continued, we knew we needed a female. We couldn't have Keira Nerys be the only female regular character. With genuine enthusiasm, Hans Beimler added, we were introducing a new character, which was really fun to write. So I think maybe that's part of the reason we get so much of her in the season, because they have this new toy, you know, this new character they can do whatever with, right?
They did with Worf in season 4.
Yeah, they did with Worf. Yeah, good point. In this episode, the writers wrote Kira as having been promoted to the rank of colonel, inspired by Nana Visitor's input. I asked for it to happen, she explained. I thought it was high time for it after 6 years of good service. Everyone around her had been promoted. Cisco, Bashir, Jedzia, even Nog had been promoted. So why not her? As long as Harry Kim's not promoted, it's fine. You know, so although I something about Major Kira is always works better, I think, just to say than Colonel Kira. But anyway, Tyree, the planet, was named after Richard Harris's character Benjamin Tyreen in the 1965 Sam Peckinpah film Major Dundee. The Monarch shipyard.
That's almost as obscure as a Babylon 5 reference.
Oh my god! If you had said that same thing around Andre Mayet, though, he'd have been like, "Oh my god, I just watched that 3 days ago." Like your obscure reference. Like you can't get an obscure movie reference by him.
Yeah, one of the reasons given by Worf as to why Jedzia Dax cannot enter Stove Core is that she never consumed the heart of her enemy. Jedzia did vow to kill the albino Anita's heart. She succeeded in the first part, but evidently never followed through with the second. So that's like you mentioned earlier. The first episode established Admiral Ross' first name is Bill. This confused actor Barry Jenner because diploma and awards prop that was ineligible on screen had been made in the Ross's office in Starbase 375 is named as Cliff. So he thought his name was Cliff Ross, but then then he ends up as Bill Ross. But we guess since we couldn't see that, it didn't matter. The first episode in which Kira is characterized as a colonel. We already said that. This episode is the first to mention the cult of the Pa race. The same cult was subsequently revisited in the episode Covenant. In addition to being the name of a planet, Tyree was also the name of a main character in the original series episode, A Private Little War, but that appears to just be a coincidence.
That's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, Tyree. This show's opening credits are once more changed to include Nicole Dubois as Ensign Ezri Dax, placing her alphabetically right after Rene Auberjonois as Odo. Ezri Dax's rank is changed later to lieutenant in the opening credits after the Take Me Out to the Holosuite episode. She gets promoted. Nana Visitor's character now appears as Colonel Kira in the typeface as well. That's something long to say, but why not?
By the way, I'll be definitely 100% here for Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite. Say that.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
one of my favorite episodes of TV.
Me too. It's a great episode.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that makes I wish that Terry Farrell had been part of that. I wish they had done that like in an earlier season in some ways, but that's the only thing that would have been better. The song Cisco plays in the restaurant before his vision is Round Midnight by Thelonious Monk.
Yeah, it's a good tune.
This episode has one of the longest teasers in all of Star Trek, lasting over 8 minutes before we get to the credits, guys. So interesting. A part of the scene of Quarks involving Bashir, O'Brien, and Quark was used in a 2001 Dutch PSA to raise awareness for dyslexia by Sire. The footage is overlaid with increasingly garbled subtitles. It then cuts to a spoof of the DS9 intro with messages like trouble reading and people with dyslexia are having trouble reading on a daily basis, styled in the actor's credits. All right. Well, that's a weird fact. Okay. Those are all the details, guys. Let's rate this episode. I just got my I think I actually sorry. I have to Adam's never been here before. I need a call in for Adam. 2 seconds, guys. Oh, hello. Bring it up. Speak amongst yourselves.
So did you catch the game? Did you catch the baseball match?
I did.
There was a game.
No. Local sports team. Okay. Adam, you're in there now.
How
Okay.
about that local sports team?
All right. Let's talk this episode. I would give this episode a 7.5. Like it's a fine episode, but it's not my favorite. Jameel's not here. Adam, your first rating on Deep Space Nine ever.
I'm going to give it a 7. And I reserve the right to bump that up later as the season goes on.
Absolutely. Okay. Ashley not with us. Kevin.
8.5.
8.5. And to Davan.
Jeez, I do like this one a lot. 9.
9. Okay. So we are averaging an 8 out of 10 between the four of us. Not bad. And the IMDb rating is 7.5 with about 1,900 votes. Les Lando directed, Ira Stephen Bear and Hans Beimler wrote it.
You've been bimed.
You've been bimed. And I would say this is a Cisco and Kira episode, sort of, but it's also about Worf and those guys. I don't know. It's kind of ensemble. So,
it's because it's like the season premiere. It's just where's everybody at?
Yeah, it's kind of everybody's. I wouldn't say it's anybody one episode. All right, and there we go. Adam, if you feel like giving us any more ratings,
yeah, I'll get into that for you. Sure.
Another time.
Well, I watched yesterday. I watched Tears of a Province yesterday. I would give that a good 8. I like that episode.
Give it 8, and how about the sound of her voice?
Great episode.
That was like a week ago. Let's go with a 9 on that one. I quite enjoyed that.
You're going 9, okay.
Captain Cusack is a hero.
All right. I don't want to ask you to go any further back than that, but at least we got a couple. We got a couple baseline ratings here.
Oh, just give some low shitty number to Times Orphan.
You gave it a 6. You liked it more than anybody.
Yeah, but it's a DS9 6.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's still DS9, so it's like still better than most things.
Okay.
Like, other than if it's not Mirror Burial, most DS9 episodes bottom out at a 6 for me.
Is an Enterprise 6 different than a DS9 6?
Yes.
How?
Well, that's why even the last second, like if Image in the Sand was an Enterprise episode, I'd have given it a 10.
So you handicap Enterprise ratings, basically.
More like I hold DS9 to a harder standard. I sort of almost have to judge it within itself because I take the worst DS9 episode over most other things.
Davan, your marking system doesn't make sense.
Neither does your dislike for Malcolm Reed.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
I could take him or leave him.
From a long line of heroes, his uncle.
true. All right, guys. Well, I think we can wrap up this one. We're back for Deep Space Nine. The next episode is called something else. I should have that at Shadows and Symbols, guys. So we'll be back in a week to talk about Shadows and Symbols, the second episode of season 7. Cisco searches for the mysterious orb of the emissary. Worf, Martok, Bashir, O'Brien, and Quark attack a Dominion shipyard in orbit around Monak 4. Kira confronts the Romulans over arming of their hospital base, and Deep Space Nine also receives a new resident who has a very familiar name. So I guess this is almost like part 1 and part 2, but it's not left as a to be continued. So we didn't do it as one podcast. So they are separate episodes. Any more comments here before we wrap up? Norman gives sound of her voice a 9. Davan has orgasm watching DS9. Well, maybe,
Not every time.
Depends on how many I watch in a row. I'm only one man.
Kevin gave Times Orphan a 1. Yeah, yes, he did.
And that was generous.
Yeah, I did not like that episode either. Times Orphan is a 0. It's like the last appearance of Keiko until like the season finale, right? Like until we get to the final episode of the season.
Yeah.
So,
and then
anyway,
Mirror Burial, I must have given a 0.
I hope I gave that a 0.
Let me go check. Mirror. What was that episode called?
Resurrection, is it?
Resurrection.
Yeah.
Kevin gave it a 0. Davin gave it a 2.
Make it a 0.
All right. That is now the lowest rated episode ever. It's now a 0.9. It's not even hitting
awful.
1. So it's not even a 1. I love it.
It's so bad.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for being with us tonight. Thanks for all the people watching live. We really
I have a trivia
enjoyed...
question for you guys. How can you make Burial worse? Answer: Mirror Burial. Anyway.
Mirror Burial. That's how you do it. Yeah, I know it's true. Let's bring in the Mirror Burial. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll sign off. Make sure to check out our other content here. There's no new Star Trek happening this month or next month, but I think we're Star Trek Discovery coming back soon, Adam. So hopefully you and I will be talking to that.
They haven't announced it yet. They haven't told us.
I'm not sure when it comes out. I don't think they know. I guess
doesn't slow down our Star Trek content, though, does it?
No, it does not. Here on the channel. You just did that interview with Dr. Mohammed Noor, right?
It wasn't an interview. It was a chill discussion about biology through the lens of Star Trek.
Okay. And how did that go?
It was awesome. We had a lot of fun. Asked him some interesting questions. Not interview style, but he's the expert, right?
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. Check it out. We have our second episode of the season coming up on December 6th, where we're talking metaphysics with Richard Hanley, the writer of the Metaphysics of Star Trek.
Excellent. And
tomorrow,
we're
kicking off Trek 10.
Trek 10 tomorrow,
where we're gonna rank the top 10 plot points that should be picked up for a Star Trek Legacy series.
Oh, okay. There you go. Who are you doing that with?
Buxley.
Oh, good stuff. Excellent. And you also you did do an interview of those the comic book writers, Christopher Sekera and Joe
Eisner. Yeah, we had them on. That was really good. Cool guys. Good comic. The Halloween story. And those guys will be on Graphic Histories here soon, I believe.
Oh,
separately.
Cool. Separately. Yeah. Excellent. Cool. And make sure to check out us on Patreon, guys. We have mugs and t-shirts and different things like that. And we have a United Federation of podcasts, a bigger network of podcasts that we are a part of, which features all kinds of great shows like the X-Men podcast, X-Rated, with Davan and Andre and other guests. I think I'm going on soon to talk about X-Men, the first movie.
We're going to interview Robert Skier on Wednesday, and you'll be on next week.
I'm on next week to talk about X-Men, which was filmed partly here in Burlington, just at the Spencer Smith Park. So that's
why we're having you on for your
I got
real life take.
Some real street cred, guys. I ran through Liberty Island technically earlier tonight. So not literally.
Then took a train to Hawaii.
The Super Mater Brothers podcast still going on.
We are brothers!
We got a few more episodes episodes of Survivor 45 to cover. We're down to the final 7, I think. So check us out Wednesday as we cover that. We also did the Big Brother season, Big Brother 25. It was 100 days. It nearly killed Jaemeel.
Take a breath.
We did it.
Take a breath,
We did
Dave.
it.
Just
We're trying to do
relax. Sit back.
Yeah. The Amen on Track podcast, which Davan was just on, talking about the album Thunder from SMP. And I understand Kevin will be the next guest to talk about 9 Inch Nails.
Yes. That should be interesting.
Yeah. I was like, you should have Kevin on. He'll probably want to talk about Tool or something. You know?
Close enough.
Well, I'm glad I don't disappoint.
Yeah. You know? So, and then Jane will really like that. Hold Up, also a movie podcast with Davan and Murphy every second Wednesday, talking radio movies in the near future.
Second Wednesday-ish.
You know. And of
yeah,
course,
we'll
Trivial
be back.
Debates.
We'll be back on the 28th talking radio movies.
When's that Trivial Debates episode happening?
It's cursed, man. Now they're saying Friday.
Friday? Okay. All right. Well, just a happy Thanksgiving to all our American viewers, listeners out there that will coming up this week. And we hope you have a good time out there. You know, however you celebrate. In Canada, it will be nothing. I guess Kevin and I are going curling to celebrate Thanksgiving. So hit that prematurely. So on that note, guys, we'll see you all here next time here on Live Long and Podcast, Deep Space Nine review. And we'll see you then. Okay. I don't know. Any requests for a clip? This one's good.
A bum.
A bum?
A bum.
Oh, I thought we got on. Like, we're done with that guy.
No, Malcolm's the best.
He's
He'll
not
never
the
go
best.
away.
We'll leave it on this.
Please go away.
We'll leave it on this one. Thanks to everyone, and see you next time.
Jetzia's death has made us all a little cuckoo.
Yeah.